This is both a joke video because I saw a Nando v Movies tweet about this specific topic and a celebration of a trailer I love. I'm starting my channel from a place where I want to talk about movies and art and how they specifically affect people, myself included, rather than another traditional style video essay. I want to throw out a story that is pretty mundane, but I still think about, which I will get to at the end. Plus, getting on a bandwagon seems pretty fun. Trailers in and of themselves are art as advertisement, selling you on a visual experience while telling an abstract story to pique your interest, to bring you to your local theater and spend some money on overpriced popcorn. That's the idea of a good trailer, at least. Not like something from the 90s with a movie trailer voice telling you the whole story like a Cliff Notes version of the film.
And become a new breed of hero.
It might get a little dangerous.
I'm going to avoid talking about the troubled non-release of the New Mutants. It's drawn out and has been talked to death at this point. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel of development hell. Comic-Con at Home is going on at the moment while I record this, with hopefully some new info and maybe even a release date. Hopefully Disney will release this to streaming already. Hashtag just released New Mutants already. I want to specifically talk about what the idea for a superhero movie meant at the time. Let's jump back to the 2015 MCU. Back in 2015, Ant-Man was being talked about as a heist movie as it approached release date. Then 2016's Doctor Strange came out, giving the world its first taste of an overtly magical character headlining a tentpole movie universe film. Yes, I have seen Constantine, and I said movie universe. Guardians Volume 2 followed in May the next year with an even deeper, crazier focus on sci-fi space-related shenanigans. Then Spider-Man Homecoming came out in July, being talked about as a John Hughes-style coming-of-age movie. The MCU had found the formula to get around the magic phrase that has been plaguing superhero cinema discourse for years. Quote-unquote, the superhero movie is dying. Marvel changed the superhero genre from being a very singular idea into a subgenre that can morph and change, and some might say mutate. You could bring in specific genre fans who aren't invested in superheroes and still have a good time. You can bring in heist fans with Ant-Man, or an 80s action-adventure movie fans with Ragnarok, sci-fi with the Guardians, and so on. Hell, you could even argue that the Guardians kicked off this idea back in 2014. I just think it's more noticeable with Ant-Man in 2015. Then the other studios noticed, and the first two out of the gate with the new kind of genre style from DC and Fox was Suicide Squad and Logan. One was a Western and the other was a mess. The genre shift has now become the mainstream superhero idea. This is where the New Mutants come in. With Marvel Studios swiping up all the genre ideas, Fox went for the one that Disney was probably too scared to do. Horror. There have been scary sequences peppered throughout a few superhero movies here and there. Mostly the Spider-Man trilogy with Sam Raimi and the Blade trilogy in the early 2000s, but there's nothing really overt and truly focused in the world of horror. Over the course of 2017, we heard bits and pieces about the lineup of the upcoming New Mutants movie and what they hoped to do with it. So many ideas, in fact, that it began to blur and become a bit worrisome. Were all these fan rumors or leaks or just studio interference? Well, now we know with all the extensive reshoots and studio meddling and changes. But, at the time, we didn't know. Not to mention now with the Fox acquisition and the myriad of changes that came down from Marvel and Disney after the fact. All we had was hearsay until October 13th, 2017. I was on set in class working on a short film called Honey, I'm Home, moving around cables and shooting the shit with friends as we go through the early stages of building our set in pre-production. I just happened to open my phone and saw that the New Mutants trailer was posted on YouTube only a few minutes ago. I immediately stopped what I was doing and snuck over to the lighting cage to steal a few minutes to watch the trailer. I watched it, then I watched it again and again, and a few more times after that. I called some friends over to show them, and then they watched it, and then it turned into us discussing it, which then turned into other people wondering why we weren't working, and them coming over, and then them watching it, and then it turning into another larger group discussion, talking about the incredible music choice of Another Brick in the Wall and twisting its meaning into a cry for help, and how the visual style actually looked like a horror movie. And then it got to the point where our instructor showed up and showed him, and then he started talking about it. It became a whole discussion around the soundstage. We gushed over it until it was time to leave, and then we still hung around a bit after class just to talk about it. Going to a film school, they teach you to be a team player and to be part of the studio system style of filmmaking. The teaser became this idea of creative freedom in the studio system. This was like if Josh Trank's original Fan 4 stick was actually good in what he wanted it to be. That you could take a tentpole franchise and make something crazy and original with it. It's a movie that doesn't seem to exist at this point. Whether the movie ever comes out or not, it has made an impact on the system with its original idea and on me as a filmmaker. With just a teaser trailer, New Mutants created one excellent scene that day.